So I was thinking about my trip to Japan, and one of the most vivid memories that I had was my conversation with Toba teaching her about dealing with dive kicks. And I want to recreate that conversation for everyone else because I think it's important. And one of the most important things she said to me was that some of the top yuns that she had asked the same question didn't do a good enough job explaining how exactly this works. So we're going to go over what happens when Yun connects with you, whether you block, whether you parry, what your options are, and how it becomes a rock paper scissors in a lot of situations. So before we get started and go into 30th anniversary to go over some of this stuff, I want to showcase some of the information as far as the frame data goes for dive kicks. So here is a frame advantage on certain things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Ryu in certain places. And I'm going to try to change the dive kicks up so that I hit him in the head, in the shoulder, in the chest, in the waist, and then below the waist. Now, TLDR of this entire situation, anything above his belt is going to be negative. Anything below the belt is going to be positive. And the head is going to be -7-ish. And the reason why this part is important is because of the fake cross-up dive kick that he has, which I'll go over in depth later. So let's unpause this. Now, assuming that I jump at his face like this, and I dive kick on his head, it's -7, just like I said it would be. If I just neutral jump next to him and dive kick on his shoulder, it's -6. If I take a step back and I do the same thing, I connected with his knee. That's +3. Same thing here. My head's under the wins. Medium kick, dive kick, +3. Fierce kick, dive kick, +2. So as you can see, depending on the dive kick that you do, it actually changes the trajectory, which gives you slightly different frame data. You're still plus. That's the only thing that really matters. But also the parrying time is a little bit different. But the other thing of importance is that when Yun actually is plus, he's capable of comboing. So whether this is target combo, 1, 2, 3, crouching medium punch, standing medium punch, or crouching light kick, or stand light kick, there's a bunch of different options. So even on block, and you're trying to parry, like let's say you have to red parry, because he hits you in the knee on block, and you have to try to red parry, or you just have to block. Well, if you insist on red parrying, you have two different options. He can go high in moves that can only be parried high in standing medium punch. He has moves that can be parried high and low in standing light punch and crouching medium punch. And then he has moves that can only be parried low in crouching light kick. So it's, yeah, you can make it a little bit more in your favor because the fact that some of those better moves, crouching medium punch and standing light kick, light punch, are both high and low parryable. But if he decides to do something else and you guess wrong, you're kind of forced into an Oki situation that you don't want to be in. So let's try to showcase some of the other negatives. -5, +2. Same situation, +0, +0. So as you can see, the frame data is always different. In a lot of cases, it's -2, -3, -6. Because everything is variable, you just have to understand that he's negative when he hits you above your waist. Now, how negative he is may matter for certain characters more than others, but it's safe to say that he is quote-unquote punishable. But before we continue, I want to bring up another point, and that is that when he does a dive kick, he has to land in order for you to full punish him. And the reason I bring this up is because a lot of players, especially Chun-Li players, will parry a dive kick and then they'll just standing roundhouse. And they'll try to super. But this doesn't work. And that's because he's still airborne. It very much works like Dudley's jumping heavy punch, Daipan. In which case, where Dudley jumps at you and he does Daipan, heavy punch, you parry it, and then you instantaneously throw. And he hasn't reached the ground yet, so your throw whiffs and he can throw you. Same sort of situation, where you have to delay your throw or you have to delay your punish in order to get it to work. So let's go into 30th and showcase some of these situations. So right now I have it set up so that he does jump, forward, light kick, dive kick, and then he tries to jump. So before we continue anymore, you have to understand what Yun's frame data is. So the startup for standing light punch is 5 frames. Or 4 frames. The throw startup is 3 frames. Crouching light kick startup is 5 frames. And the startup for all of his other moves are a lot higher than that. So you have to understand that when he's negative, his only choices are to do things that are fast. In a lot of cases, unless spacing allows him to do something different. But that's a whole nother story. Anyway, so when he's in this situation and he aims to jump again, because he's negative, you can just hit him out of it. In a lot of cases, if you just commit to it. Even on hit. He's just trying to re-jump afterward. He gets off the ground, which means you're reacting more than 4 frames later, but he's not going to be able to do a whole lot. His only other choice here is to try and throw you, in which case it would be a tech if you try to throw. So it becomes a rock, paper, scissors here, where throw will beat buttons sometimes. Throw will cancel out throw. Throw will lose to jump. And jump will lose to button. It's relatively simple. So if you get parries and stuff, you have to understand how this affects things. So I'm going to parry this. And as you can see there, the standing light punch makes it so that he is reset. Now if I do crouching medium punch, you'll see that he also is still off the ground. But the longer you delay, the more it matters. Now that may not have worked if he was set to block. So let's record that. He's set to block, but he was grounded that time. So you have to delay your punishes. Otherwise, you're not going to get a full punish. As you can see there, the standing light kick, reset him. Same thing can be done with standing medium kick. As you can see there, that reset him. But when you delay, you get the full combo. Because if you were to do this just off of the reset, he just jumps out. Unless it's crouching medium punch, and then like half the super hits. So this is not your best option. You know, obviously if you're Remy or something like that, you know, you have something like that, or you have something like that. Now, if you're in the corner and they try this, oh, damn it. Oh, and I dashed through him. Wonderful. You can get full punishes like that. So it's important to understand how he's hitting you and at what point you can punish. So even if Yun is plus, he can still hit you. So let's go over the cross-up dive kick situation, in which he's -6 even on hit. And the reason why a lot of people will get blown up for this is because you have to block it by hitting forward, but when he lands, he's in front of you. So if you hold forward to block, guess what? You get hit. So let's look at that dive kick into 1, 2, 3, just because it's the most common situation. So I got hit. I didn't block it. I'm holding forward. He gets 1, 2, 3. And then I go to back. I block it. So in order to get this to be a block, you have to go from forward to back, which is not always easy. So, and you also have to be cognizant of the fact that he could just hit you in the front and continue on that way. But he's hitting you from behind and then landing in front. So what happens for parries? In order to parry this, you need to parry it by hitting back. Now, the reason this is important is because this dive kick is exactly like the Alex situation. When Alex does a stomp, you have to choose a direction, and then tap it like you're going to parry, and hold that direction. And the reason for this is because if you tap incorrectly, then you'll block. If you tap correctly, you'll get your parry. And if you tap incorrectly or correctly at the wrong time, you'll just get hit. So it's the same exact thing. Now, if I try to punish that too early, the crouching heavy punch completely whiffs. See? But if you delay, it'll hit on the correct side. Because the same applies to him landing, is that when you first get the parry, he's still technically over you on the other side. You have to let him fall so that he lands on the correct punishable side. Pretty simple. So now the important part here is the three-way guess you have. You have 1, 2, 3, and then you have jump, and then you have throw. So, like I was talking about with the Dudley example, even when he hits you, he still has to land before he's punishable. So let's take the LUA thing off of here. All right. So let's try this with 1, 2, 3. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to try light punch, and then throw, and then light kick, and see what happens. Because remember, he's -6. He has to land. I did light punch, didn't work. If I hit light kick as soon as he connects with me, I'll beat him. But if I delay the button at all, I lose. So if I react to him hitting me and then he's halfway through his landing animation before I hit standing light kick, I'll lose. But if I hit it early enough, I'll beat him. Just like all this. But as soon as he lands, he can win. Or trade. But if I try anything that's longer frames, crouching medium punch, crouching heavy punch, crouching light kick will trade. In a lot of cases, it'll trade or win. So it's inconsistent. That's an important thing. So when you're dealing with this cross-up situation, if you throw, your throw just straight up beats it. Now this is where the rock, paper, scissors come in. Because what happens if Yun throws? Tech. And the reason for this is because Yun has to land, and it's not technically a punish. And because he lands, he can throw tech. The same thing applies to low hitting moves, like Ken's jump forward heavy kick, Urian's jumping heavy kick, Yun's dive kick, Yang's dive kick, Dudley's jump forward heavy punch, even in some cases his jump forward heavy kick, where they either hit too low to the ground, so when you parry them, they're technically, because they're so plus, that they're going to be able to, they're still going to be able to throw you before you can throw them. Or they're going to be able to tech. So if I try to tech here, or throw, depending on who pressed their button first, is the tech. So be wary of that. And then we've already gone over what happens when you jump. But what happens when you try to do something like this? You just get hit out of it. Because the move takes too long. So doing something like dive kick in and then standing medium kick doesn't make any sense pretty much ever. The only time it makes sense is if you've hit them in the leg like this. Now, I just tried to press standing light punch there, and I just got beat. I tried to throw, got beat. It's because Yun is plus off of a dive kick that deep. So, now let's talk about just dive kicks in general. We don't want to talk about this one thing and harp on it over and over and over again. So, when he hits you at a positive situation like this, which it's a combo, you're not going to be able to do anything about it. So if we do jump forward and light kick, dive kick, it's not going to work there. So let's do jump forward, light kick, dive kick, and then crouching medium punch. So they don't combo. It hits, I try to throw, doesn't work. I try to stand light kick, and it does work. And the reason for this is because he's negative enough that the standing light kick, which is 2 frames, is going to hit him before the crouching medium punch comes out. But if I try to throw, because I'm too far away, he's not going to get thrown. Standing medium punch, gets beat out. Standing medium kick, trades. Standing heavy kick, loses. As you can see, a lot of these things, a lot of buttons lose, right? So let's look at Remy's frame data real quick. This is Yun's, but let's look at Remy's. Remy. So Remy's stand short is 3 frames. 2 frames, technically, according to this, which is the same as throw. So throw is technically 3 frames, so his stand short is also 3 frames. Which I'm not sure this is 100% correct, because through my testing and from what Toba told me, it's 2 frames. So his jab is 5 frames, strong is 6 frames, his crouching strong is 6 frames, his crouching fierce is 9 frames, and all, like everything else, crouching short's 4 frames. So all that stuff matters. So it seems like anything 4 frames or better will beat the crouching medium punch from Yun. But what happens if I block it? Trade. It's beating my crouching light punch. Standing leg kick still beats it. So this is why you have to understand that regardless of if the dive kick hits you or if it is blocked, it has the same frame data. So when you are looking to punish your opponent for their choice, that matters a lot. Well, what happens in the same situation when we do a dive kick that hits him right in the shoulder, right? And then go for 1, 2, 3. Didn't combo, right? Standing light kick, trades. If I don't press it instantaneously, then I lose. And even if I do press it instantaneously, sometimes I can lose, depending on where it hits me. So, as you can see here, if he takes a step forward, or if I take a step forward when he jumps, I can punish him, or trade, guaranteed. But if I keep walking back in the corner, I'm just going to lose, because he's going to hit me at a range where he is better. As you can see here, when he hits me above the belt, but if I walk backwards, he hits me right at the belt, which makes him 0. So if I try to throw, it beats my throw. But if I try to throw in neutral, throw beats it. So moving forward and backward changes your hitboxes and hurtboxes. So let's try this one more time. So the reason why this works is because you land far enough away that you can't get thrown in some cases. So when I get hit, if I take a step forward when I get hit, then it influences a lot. So this is why when you watch Deshiken play against a good Yun player, he will constantly be looking for situations where he thinks he can get away with moving forward into a position where even if Yun dive kicks, it forces the Yun to whiff dive kick. And the reason for that is because if Yun is negative, like true negative, hits him in the shoulder, hits him in the head, hits him in above the chest, then Yun has to make a decision between throw tech or jump. Those are Yun's only real options. He can block, sure, but in a lot of situations, that block is not going to make a whole lot of sense. Because if he blocks and then the opponent throws, he gets thrown. Right? You can late tech, but it's difficult. So, again, trying to press standing light kick, and I'm getting beat. If I take one step forward after he hits me, my light kick wins. Because he hits me at a different part in my body. He hits me in the shoulder, as opposed to right above the belt. So while this is technically negative, at like 1 or 0, it has to be -1 because it doesn't combo. So because this is -1, and I'm trying to press a move that is 3 frames, it's getting beat somehow. Because of the hit stun, right? But if I take a step forward, my standing light kick will win if I press it right as I get hit. So if I get hit, or I block, and I press it, it'll either trade or win. But that's only with the fastest move in the game. What can I throw? Yes. But in this situation, if I just try to throw when he's normally doing it, it's not going to work. So let's do the same sort of situation off of crouching light kick. But I'm going to hit him higher this time. So while crouching light kick, and crouching medium punch give the exact same spacing, you want to hit him higher, like right in the shoulder. So we're going to intentionally not do instant dive kick. And then we're going to do 1, 2, 3. Light kick just straight beats it. And the reason for this is because he hits you high enough where he's negative to the point where even if you get hit or you block, the block stun or hit stun recovers before the negative frames of his dive kick allow him to land. And then you can press a button. Simple. So if he hits you high enough, in this particular example, in the shoulder, or right at the top of the arm, then you're going to be able to beat him. Right? But as soon as you take that step backwards, and I try to throw, I lose. Same exact situation, just I decided to be walking backwards. So this is why against twins, being neutral is important. Because not only does it allow you to more easily parry, but it allows you to react to dive kicks better. Walking back and forth, as long as you're walking towards the Yun, matters a lot. And this is also why him dive kicking, if you walk forward enough, or a dash, when he jumps at certain situations, allows you to just completely get out of the situation altogether. Now, a good Yun is going to goaltend properly. He's going to sit back, he'll dive kick at proper ranges, but this is just to give you an idea if he's just dive kicking in your face. So, when you're trying to overcome dive kicks, and you're trying to overcome the set play that comes afterward, you have to understand his options. So in this particular situation, he's most likely going to throw or jump again. And we've already gone over that you can hit him out of the jump. But what happens if he jumps back after he hits you at a correct distance? With Remy, you hit him. Tried to cold blue kick, got hit. Sorry. Now you can jump after him and hit him, obviously, but you know he can jump back for free, essentially, because there's nothing you can do to stop him. Close standing leg kick doesn't even come out because he's already off the ground. So understanding that when you get hit low, if he jumps again, there's not really a whole lot you can do about it, especially if he jumps back. But what happens if he jumps neutral? You can still hit him out of it in certain situations. But in a lot of cases, you're not going to be able to. So the standing leg kick whiffs completely, right? Sometimes a standing medium punch will hit. And that's only if you do an instant reaction. And if you delay even a frame, he's already jumped it. But you can do the same thing that you would normally do, is that you can stop guard, like you would be stopping guard jump with, especially with Remy, crouching heavy punch. So understanding that when you get hit at any point on your body, here or above, Yun is super unsafe. You can throw for free. When he's here or below, he has advantage. And when he's right above your belt, depending on if you're walking forward or walking backwards, you can influence how you can respond. Now, a majority of the casts don't have moves that are fast enough in order to contest Yun. So, in order to contest him, you need a 3-frame or faster move in most situations. If he's going for 1, 2, 3. But if he goes for crouching light kick, it's slightly different because of the time it takes to do crouching light kick, frame-wise. So, hopefully this is enlightening on how to deal with Yun's dive kicks when he actually gets on you. But the easiest way is just, get the fuck out of the corner. Dash under him. Make him do something stupid. This is why jumping in your face is never really a good idea with Yun, because he can just, or your opponent can just walk under you in a lot of cases. It's why you'll see strong Yuns jump back a lot, because they don't want their opponent to actually walk under them. This has been pretty rambling, but hopefully this helps.